Rising costs and competition are starting to make long-term hosts leave the Airbnb industry. I'm going to show you how you can combat this so that you can be one of those last businesses that remain profitable through these hard times. The main reason that these long-term hosts are starting to leave the industry is things are just getting harder. We've got costs that are on the rise. This is everything from cleaning costs, rent and mortgage costs, utilities. All these costs have gone up drastically. Guests are also getting more demanding. Back when the industry started, it was very quirky. You know, a lot of people wanted to get involved in this industry and stay at these properties because it was new, it was exciting, it was unique. Now, as the industry started to grow, lots of people have started to have the concept of, you get all those from home comforts with the perks of being like a hotel. And this creates lots of very demanding guests because they're expecting hotel level quality as if you've got people there waiting to check you in and check you out every day. We're also facing lots of decreased nightly rates and occupancy, even though those costs are going up high. We're getting a squeezing from both sides right now. We've noticed that occupancy rates generally are quite down across the board in lots of places, and as well as nightly rates. We're also seeing higher peaks and troughs. A lot of industries will have times where things go up, profits are much stronger, and then they'll also have times where profits are a lot less. These are getting a lot harsher due to the amount of supply and demand that is in the area, making it very tough for people to remain profitable. Now, a lot of these things I think are here to stay within the industry. But if they're here to stay, then why are so many people coming into this industry? I think there's a few reasons to this. Number one, I feel like landlords are feeling a sense of obligation. The government, especially over the last few years, they're making it very hard for landlords to feel like they have any level of control over their property whatsoever. And this is making new landlords explore new ways in which that they can make a profit from the asset that they own. And Airbnb is a viable option. Something that you won't have is troubled tenants and troubles with eviction. If you have bad guests, they tend to leave once their stay is ended because they don't need to stay there anymore and they don't want to stay there anymore. Have bad tenants, they tend to stay there for a long time. They intend to live there. Another thing is rising interest rates. It's starting to become less and less viable to have a normal tenant stay at your property because the costs are so much higher. The rents haven't gone up to match this yet. Now, with all that being said, I still think this is a classic example of a new, unregulated industry. Normally what you tend to get is things are very new at the start and very exciting, and people are more just surprised to make a profit more than they are expecting to make a profit. And what you start to do is create a very small niche community where people are all in support of each other. People are grateful that they're staying at someone's house. People are very grateful that someone is staying at their property and letting it out for a fair price. And what starts to happen beyond that is the word starts to spread. People start to want to get involved in this industry, maybe a less entrepreneurial type, but are more interested in just making the money. This attracts things like investors, other business professionals that are wanting to put their mark on this industry. What starts to happen from then, which you start to get oversaturation. The supply starts to outweigh the demand because word's getting out now. And what starts to happen is one of two things. Either the government comes in and starts regulating the market, depending on how out of control it is getting. The other option is if it doesn't get regulated, is it will auto-regulate itself. Supply will start to rise and rise and rise, and demand won't be able to outlive it, which means that people will make less profit, people will make less revenue, and people will experience less occupancy rate, which will naturally cause people to pull out of the market. What will happen then is the cycle will continue from that point. Those waves get less and less and less and slower until what happens is you're left with the professional people within the industry. You start to get to where few businesses that have remained and they are the dominant leaders within the industry. We're very, very far from that point yet, but that is something that I will think could happen in the future with Airbnb. So the things that I'm doing to sort of combat this and make sure that I last those tests of time is firstly to not give up. It's so easy to give up when things get hard and to start thinking the grass is greener somewhere else. It is not. You have to ride these waves. There is no option. If you want that as your goal, then this is the road that you have to go down. Another thing is have a pricing strategy for the slow season. Big thing I recommend that people download is something called Price Labs. I'll have a link at the bottom of the description for you. And what this does is gives you granular data on Airbnbs that are in the area that are similar to yours and ways in which you change your pricing strategy to align with what is happening within the market. Normally what a lot of people do is they'll tend to have sort of a weekday rate and then a slightly higher weekend rate, and then a bit of a discount for a month-long stay. This is definitely the basics that you should do, but as you start to establish your listing, what I advise people do is to combine this with your channel management system and understand how long your average lead times are for bookings, and start to tailor your pricing along that. This is what is going to help to make sure that you're booked out, combined with having a solid listing and solid reviews. The next thing is to have multiple streams of revenue within your business. So some things that I'm doing and implementing within my business right now is implementing a management company. We already operate in many different areas in the country, and it's very easy for us to start to take on management properties in the areas that we're already covering. This allows us to have a stronger cash flow as well as manage those slow and high seasons, because we haven't got any overheads attached to the management properties that we're going in. Other businesses that you can start is, if you've been doing this a while, you can start mentoring for other people. You could do an interior design based company if you're interested in interior design. There's many people that will pay a lot of money to get their properties set up for them. Another thing is professional photography. A lot of people are starting to implement more things like professional photography for their business. And this is something that you could charge a lot of money for, helps you to ride those waves of business. So ultimately your business ends up lasting the test of time and being that established business. Now you might be watching this video and thinking, well, Airbnb doesn't sound like a very good industry to get in right now. I would strongly advise, if you've got an interest in getting into Airbnb, that you get involved right now. Purely because you learn the most when times get hard. You never learn when things are going very good within your business. They're enjoyable, they're fun, but they're certainly not learning experiences, and he who learns the most will win. Now, I started my Airbnb journey during COVID, and it was certainly harder then than it is right now. I'm very grateful for starting during that time period, because I learned so much about how to find great deals, how to manage my cash flow, how to understand that you can't just push for growth all the time. I know so many people that started their business, things are going very well, and ultimately they didn't learn basic things like managing cash flow because they never needed to. Every property they set up just turned to gold. And then what happened is they starved their business of cash, and then when tough times entered the market, they couldn't survive those times because they had no experience in working during a hard time. An easy way in which you can get started now is join the Airbnb Mastery Academy. I'll leave a link below. Something that we cover in there is creating a business plan, understanding how to find the best areas within the industry, as well as mentoring from myself personally. We'll also give you a deal analyzer and a business plan template in order to get you going. So I'll see you there.